For a long time, there was a stigma with a screw cap on a bottle of wine. But what's the difference between natural corks, synthetic corks, and then the screw cap? Well, Justin, the ambassador of wine education for Arizona Stronghold, is here to kind of fill us in. Do I gasp when I talk about a screw cap?
Not at all.
Should I?
Not at all. I do kind of like going from put a cork in it to put a cap on it, though. I think the wordplay there is great.
So is this a bad thing? No.
It's not at all. It's a great thing, actually. Consider how many wines are tainted by cork every year. Some say up to 10%. It's kind of widely understood that maybe about 7% of all wines are tainted by a bacteria that's found in the cork. Now, 7% is not that much.
You mean it's going to taste bad, or
it's going to taste like old wet newspaper or wet dog?
Oh, that's
is kind
delicious.
of a yeah, sounds great, right? And if you're a producer who's making 100,000 cases, imagine that's 84,000 of your bottles that are bad. So pretty tough to have that many out there. Screw cap saves you from that. What it doesn't do, though, is it doesn't allow the wine to age at a slow rate. It doesn't let any oxygen in. So this lets some oxygen in, which is good for big wines like Bordeaux blends.
And this is the cork.
This is natural cork. This is made from a tree. It's just stamped out of the bark of a tree, and oddly enough, the name of the tree is called the cork oak.
Okay.
They peel the rind off or the bark off, and they stamp these out of it. Now, between where they stamp these, you have a little bit of cork left over, and that's where something like a technical cork will come in. So this is a composite, a bunch of little tiny pieces of the same exact thing, just adhered together. This is better because it's just a solid piece. So this is going to allow
the solid is better than the composite.
Absolutely.
And is it also better than the synthetic?
Now, synthetics are getting really good. Early on, they didn't do something that the natural cork did. The natural cork will swell and shrink with the glass, which I found interesting. The glass literally swells and shrinks.
Wow.
It expands and contracts with temperature differences. So the new synthetics, though, also expand and contract. The thing that they do that's not quite up to par with the natural cork is they let a little bit too much oxygen in. So if you're aging a wine, let's say past 3-5 years or more, this might oxidize the wine faster than a natural cork. So these are really popular with wines that are made to drink young, which most of what we drink is made to be drunk young. 95% of the wines bought in the U.S. are consumed within 1 year.
Yeah, but my husband gave me a bottle of wine for Mother's Day. Was it Mother's Day? Yeah, it was Mother's Day, right? And you said, don't drink it.
Don't drink it.
You
Well,
said,
he paid a handsome price for that. So I'm betting they didn't use a synthetic cork. These are mostly drink now wines. You know, like I said,
So this would be a drink like yesterday, kind of.
Well, pretty much. But what's interesting about this, unlike these, let's say you got a Sauvignon Blanc, which is a fresh young wine, you know, something to drink right away. If I put a natural cork or a synthetic cork in a Sauvignon Blanc, that has a ticker on it. That's going to go off after a few years. With this, there is no ticker. That wine could last until this disintegrates, which could be 10, 20, 30 plus years. We're not sure yet because we haven't really experimented that much with these. We're not sure how they'll break down over a long period of time. We've done short experiments, and the short experiments are really promising with these.
Well, shy of actually tasting it and tasting the wet newspaper or the sticky dog, how will you know if it's not one of these? Because didn't you teach me last time that you know that it's good, and if it's actually when they take it off and it's still wet on top, that's how you know.
That's your first indicator. Good memory, absolutely. That's your first indicator, is that it's wet, that it's been stored properly. But
so
that doesn't tell you
know?
that it's good. Well, you're going to have to bite the bullet and taste it. Yeah, you're going to have to smell it and taste it. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, usually you can smell it. Well, with these, there is no wet newspaper at all. That will not happen because the cork taint comes from the cork. So with these, there's no chance of that. That's why so many producers, again, 100,000 cases, you'll lose 84,000 bottles. With this, you don't lose any of those to cork. You might have oxidation issues, but minuscule in comparison to a cork taint issue.
Okay. Will you have, going back to the wet thing, with all these other types of corks, is the same marker if they're wet on the top?
Absolutely. I would judge that, and that's, again, just a storage issue. If they're dry, maybe then this cork has shrunk and allowed oxygen in, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Again, and these will have no chance of cork taint either because they're plastic. They're not made from cork. The taint is found in that tree or on the ground around the tree. So yeah, these are good for short-term aging of wine. Something that's going to be drunk within 5 years.
So in a nutshell, the moral of the story is this is okay.
And it doesn't indicate quality. That's probably the biggest thing. They've been long associated with cheap, not very good wines, you know, inexpensive, low-quality wines. But there's a lot of high-end producers that are switching over to these. And a lot of them are going to these, too, because they're a little bit more inexpensive and they allow the wines to be drunk young. And there's no point in spending a little more on a real cork if you're going to drink it within the first year, not age it for 10 years plus.
Okay. I like how you break it down for us and make us not afraid to buy, you know, what fits in our budget.
That's what it's about.
It's always good to see you, Justin.
Simplifying it.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Stephanie. You too.
Now, if you're looking to get out of the heat, take a trip to the Arizona Stronghold Tasting Room up in Cottonwood. Their address is right there on your screen. It's 1023 North Main Street up in Cottonwood. The number is 928-639-2789, 928-639-2789. And, of course, make sure you tell them that you saw Justin right here on Sonoran Living Live.